Welcome back to the channel. As you guys may have guessed already, we are not live, and it's because, as I mentioned in a community post and on the live we did last night on Thursday night, I'm going to be driving as you're watching this, or if you're watching after the fact, I'm going to be in California, spending some time with my son, my friends, and just kind of getting away. And wanted to put out some kind of video for you on a premiere. So if you're in the chat, discuss with each other, catch up with each other. Jenna will try to make the chat if she can, if she's able to. And we're going to have a much shorter, it's not going to be a 1 hour or 2 hour thing, because to be honest with you, I should have left already, but I'm going to give this a good solid 20 minutes or so if you guys are willing to put up with that, and talk about freight forwarders. And it's something that I've encountered. I haven't really had any problems with freight forwarders. And what is a freight forwarder? Freight forwarder is a service like the one I'm dealing with here, Aramex International, where they have operations in the United States. So you're shipping an item within the United States, and you have no way to vet this buyer. You're simply shipping to the address that they provide for you, and they get it, and then they do what they do. From what I understand and what I suspect in my situation here, they repackage it to withstand whatever shipping that has to happen, and they ship it on to the country that the buyer is at. Okay. And it's sort of like the international shipping program that eBay has set up right now, except you don't have the protections. Now, from a seller standpoint, you are required to ship that package to the freight forward or whatever address you get in the United States. Okay. What happens after that? The package gets lost or damaged. That is totally on the freight forwarder. Now, I say that in that you as a seller still have to deal with the customer. Customers they didn't get the package, or they get the package damaged. Two different situations, right? Didn't get the package. Well, they claim that not received. They file an item not received on you. You have a delivery scan to the address you are required to ship it to. So you don't have to worry about that. That's covered. If they leave you a negative feedback, eBay is supposed to remove that, because again, you did what you were supposed to do. Whether or not they remove that, I don't know, but you can simply have that item not received case closed because you provide a tracking number with a valid delivery scan. Now let's hope there's a delivery scan. Sometimes I've heard that people have received, actually the item shows not delivered, even though it's delivered. Buyers saying that they got it, or they didn't get it. So there's really not a way to fight that one, but that usually doesn't happen. In my particular situation, and this is kind of what's strange about this, we had this is an automatic cat feeder wet food deal here, and I will show it to you. It's not, yeah, it's this. Okay, so it's this thing. This is the actual machine here, right? And this is the box. You can see the box, that the retail box that comes in. Now, because this is Ground Advantage, we didn't ship this box the way it is. Has the internal styrofoam holding the unit inside, but we didn't ship it like this because the box itself wasn't a very good quality box from the manufacturer. One of those thin boxes, right? So what we do when we're shipping Ground Advantage is we'll wrap this thing with a couple layers of bubble wrap, right, to insulate the package, and then we'll poly bag it, and then we'll form fit the poly bag with tape, and we'll ship it Ground Advantage. You can do that. Can't do that with FedEx. Can't do that with UPS. Maybe you can get away with UPS, because I was doing that for a while before I switched over to FedEx, but definitely not FedEx Ground or FedEx Home. So we ship this out that way to the freight forwarder. My suspicion is that they received this item, and the they're saying that the item, what their complaint was, is that the item was banged up. Now, if we look at this, this is the actual photo of the item right here. There's no bangs there. No scratches. I mean, they show deep scratches, and they were saying, look, I can live with the deep scratches, but I'm not going to put up with not having a charger. And I'm like, well, wait, I included every accessory in this box. And this item wasn't, as they showed pictures that, when they sent the message to me, that the thing was banged up pretty bad. And, I asked them, how's the packaging? They said the packaging was intact. Now, I probably should ask them to send me a photo of the actual box that they got, because my suspicion is that the freight forwarder got a hold of it, saw that it was in bubble wrap and in a poly. They pulled it out and they repackaged the whole thing, maybe dropped the unit and or did not put the charger back in the box, because 100% we looked around this place just in case we screwed up, because it's possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible. And we couldn't find anything. And I keep my chargers all in one area, one tote. If I would have had a charger sitting around, first of all, if that ever happens, I find a part, I stop what I'm doing and I will find, okay, where does this go? What did I last work on? Find that item and backtrack, maybe going back 2 or 3 items to find where this thing belongs. So none of that happened. Jenna didn't encounter that. Of course, she's not opening this particular type of package because it has the factory package inside. So my suspicion is that the freight forwarder felt like it needed to be double boxed, and I don't doubt that's a good idea, because that's shipping to probably somewhere in South America, being that it's Aramex International as the freight forwarder. And they left me a negative feedback, and I was, this is the sad thing about it, is they contacted me, and they're the buyer that leaves like all the boom, 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 boom messages, and they're using the app. I know that's why it comes across as 4 different messages, but it kind of makes them look kind of like a maniac when they're sending me just firing off messages that I'm reading one by one. And the last message, and this is like, they're all 5 minutes between each other. And I think these messages came through when I was on the live last night. So I really, an hour and a half, 2 hours doing a live, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing and deal with that. And we dealt with it after the live. And the last message was, if you don't contact me, I'm going to file a report with eBay. You know how they get. So I messaged the buyer saying, thanks for letting me know. I said, I'm very shocked about the condition of this unit, because that's not the condition we shipped it in. And we shipped every accessory with this unit, 100%. And I even asked him, what's the packaging look like? He said the packaging was intact. He didn't say it was poly bagged or anything like that. So I probably should have gone a little bit further with that. So I said, I have no problem trying to get an adapter for you, and shipping it to you, and not knowing at the time they're a freight forwarder, not thinking about it. And they said, well, if you could do that, it'd be great. I'm like, but the problem is I don't know the voltage, and I don't know the tip, like the power adapters have different tips when you plug it in the machine. Because this is one of those refrigerated pet bowls that you have to plug in. It's kind of a cool gadget. And I went to bed. I didn't hear anything back from them. I don't know what part of the world they're in, if they're ahead of me, behind me in time. I don't know. But woke up this morning to a negative feedback. And the negative feedback was that the unit didn't have the adapter. They weren't happy about it. So I'm like, I wasn't done trying to help you. My next step was, because it was late when I was dealing with this last night, and my next step was to go onto the manufacturer's site, see if I can find a link to the manufacturer's main site to see if I could find the part. I had no problem spending $20-$30 to get this out to them. Again, I was thinking this was domestic, but they left me negative feedback. And for me, that ends all help. And that may sound a little harsh, but if you're going to jump the gun and not give the seller every possible chance to try to make it right. And of course, we offered a free return. Look, if this is not what you paid for, I've got to figure out what to do when I get it if it comes back in a bad condition. But certainly, I didn't quite understand what was going on. But in the feedback, they said that I'm not in the country and can't send it back. So they were mad that they couldn't open the return because I am only obligated to send a label to this place, Aramex International. Now, what I wanted to show you, and I don't really care if I'm showing this information. This is not the buyer's information. This is the company's information. So it's a public company. I called the number that's there. It is Aramex International, so you could call there if you want. But I wanted to show you how to distinguish from a regular customer to a freight forwarder customer. And in this particular case, a freight forwarder customer is going to have some kind of a weird code behind their name or underneath their name. And the reason is because when the package gets to the freight forwarder, they don't know Muhammad from Adam. Okay. So they're going to go in and look at that number, and they're going to determine, this is going to, Saudi Arabia, or it's going to Brazil, right? And they have all the customers' information on file with that. In this case, it's the DOH 284883, but it could be any weird, strange number. So if you see a name and it has a number attached to it, and the item's going to a port city, like you got Doral, Miami, Florida. You have, there's a place in Delaware. I don't know exactly which city in Delaware that is. In this case, Springfield Gardens, New York. There's also Portland, Oregon, I believe. And I believe there's also one in California. So, of course, if you have something going to a freight forwarder and it's like in Kansas, I don't know. It still could be, but I highly doubt it. But I haven't seen that. Maybe you have. Comment down below or in the chat what you guys think. So it's just kind of irks me. You're trying to actively work with the buyer. They give you he could have explained, look, man, I am not in the country. I can't send it to you. If there's anything you can do, please work with me. And you know what? That's going to get you farther than leaving a negative feedback, because in my eyes, when you leave feedback, that means that the transaction has been completed. That's why I don't, when I use the automated negative, or the not automated negative, it would be great, wouldn't it? When I use the automated positive feedback tool with eBay, it gets done once the buyer has left their feedback, right? That is my closure of the transaction. So in my eyes, if a buyer is to the point where they're ready to leave a negative feedback, that means that they're no longer willing to work with you or to help you. Okay. So what do we do here? We just move on, right? Now, this is the second negative feedback I've received in the last week. The other one was a negative feedback where I listed the item in used condition in the used category, knowing I'm going to take less. Otherwise I'll just sell new all day long. And, hope the buyer doesn't get mad, right? That's what's going to happen. Get more money for the item. I listed this item as used in that condition, explained very thoroughly that this has signs of previous use. Looks like the buyer bought it, because we deal with customer returns. And I did put customer returns, that the buyer bought the item. They tried it out, maybe did some yard work and sent it back. Okay. And to me, that paints a picture of lightly used, because used can be, a wide array of different conditions, anywhere from I've used the hell out of this thing for the last 3 years and, it's still holding up, to like used one time, maybe the landlord was telling them, hey, you need to cut the grass or you need to cut the weeds. So they buy the item on Amazon, they use it, they ship it back because they don't need it anymore until the next notice they get, right? They rent your item. And so you get these things in liquidation and you evaluate them, look clean it up where you can, but it looked very clean. And it looked like it certainly did not look that bad, but they left me a negative feedback. And Yeah, it was one of those things where kind of getting a run of bad luck on the negative feedback. So far, knock on wood, it hasn't hurt my sales. That's the thing we think about whenever there's something negative that happens to your account, it automatically kind of hits the algorithm and it hurts you. So that's not where we're at. Thankfully, I'm going to be gone this weekend, so I don't know if it's because of this last negative, if I don't do well, or if it's because I'm just not here. eBay knows I'm not here. I have listings that are scheduled to launch for tomorrow. I'll return on Sunday, excuse me, and get back to work. So that's my deal here. But freight forwarders, overall, most people will tell you, and I'm going to get off of here real quick because get off this screen. Most people will tell you that freight forwarders are fine. They're great, right? Because the freight forwarder doesn't get buyer protection anymore. eBay is going to protect you if they open a chargeback, that type of thing. That's a good thing, right? We want that protection because I think a lot of us are kind of concerned if someone opens a chargeback, then we have to fight it and go through all those things. But anytime that you're selling an item and eBay has you covered under seller protection, that type of thing, you deliver it to the address that you're given. Any other claims that are put out about it, well, they're not covered because it is a freight forwarder situation. So the next time you receive maybe a chargeback, right, go into your transaction order details and look at the name, look to see where it was shipped, and look to see if there's any customer identifier number that's either attached to the name field or maybe directly underneath it. Because you'd certainly want to make mention that this is a freight forwarder. And a lot of times you'll take the phone number. There's a phone number underneath that differs from the show contact info side. So going back real quick, you see how there's a phone number here? That goes to Aramex International, the one that's right there on the left side. But if you go to the right where it says show contact info, there's a drop down. I'm not going to click on that because that actually shows another number for this buyer. And, you can call that number. Like I called this 718 number and it did say, this is Aramex International. So just something to keep in mind. And even if you're opted into eBay's international shipping program, you are still going to be subject to freight forwarders because it's a regular domestic transaction. It doesn't have anything to do with eBay international shipping, whether you're opted in or out. So this can affect everyone. If you have an item on ebay.com and someone overseas wants that item, they can coordinate this through a freight forwarder company, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, there is one thing you can do about it if you just refuse to want to deal with the freight forwarder, and that is if you get an order like this, you can cancel the transaction due to problem with buyer's address. Bottom line. And, if you want to eliminate this type of thing from happening, because the only negative I see, because you are protected by eBay, the only negative thing I see happening here is a buyer's going to leave you a negative feedback. And in the current climate, the way eBay has handled these negative feedbacks, even though they've said there's a dozen things that they are going to start removing negative feedbacks for, they haven't shown me much change, if at all, in regards to a negative feedback removal. So that's just it for me. Wanted to share that with you. Again, it's not our live program. We do have this as a premiere. So hopefully you guys have maybe chatted with each other, maybe add a little bit to the conversation. Maybe I missed something. Whether you're watching it live, say live with the premiere, or if you're watching it after the fact, please be sure to comment and at least hit the thumbs up and just let YouTube know that we have a pretty decent show and a community, and it certainly does help the channel. And if you didn't like the program, if you didn't like the topic, you think I was way off base here, you think I just suck or whatever, hit the thumbs down. At least interact that way. let me know how much you despise me if that's the way it is. But to me, I don't care anymore. Um, going to, like I mentioned in the live, going to try to maybe get more content out, but it may be because the editing is just a lot, right? It takes me away from doing the stuff that I need to be doing, which is eBay, right? And maybe that lives are a little bit more on the cards, maybe an hour live instead of a 2-hour edit process. Maybe just doing the lives, because to be honest with you, I enjoy the lives a little bit more than going through and editing. I tell you this is the main thing. And a lot of people will tell you they don't like hearing the sound of their own voice. And I am not one of those who enjoys hearing my voice. And for me, it's having to go through that and editing. It's just not fun. So that's that, guys. Freight forwarders, yeah, they're going to happen, and they're part of the business. Most people absolutely love them. I don't despise them. I'm not going to be canceling them. I don't recommend that you should as well, but figuring out what side of the coin you're on when it comes to dealing with freight forwarders, it's yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. Want you guys to have an excellent rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you guys very soon. Take care.